Happy Thursday. I hope everyone is well. I hope that you're enjoying. It's sunny here in beautiful Toronto. Absolutely fabulous weather, but let's get started because really we're here to have further conversation. Glad to have you all with us. For those who are just joining us, make sure to pop your chat over from host and panelists to everyone. This way folks can see all of the great comments that are coming through, tips, tricks, whatever's happening in the chat. We just want to make sure it's all available to everybody. But let's start. Let's get into it. We're going to be talking about sailing your center to success. I personally love sailing, so that was right up my alley. But as always, if this is your first time joining us, whether it's your first or 50th, doesn't matter. Make sure that you do take away some key points. And one of those key points is that we are not the face of legal or financial advice by any means. We want you to take away tips, tricks, techniques, things like that that you can implement at your center. Make sure if you're doing any big changes to consult the right people, whether that be a legal or a financial advisor or your licensing representative, whoever that may be. But make sure you do consult the right people before any big changes. Let's give a quick listen here to our land acknowledgement.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
And we're also just going to jump into our diversity and inclusion statement.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Extra special indeed. I can agree. Folks, a couple of housekeeping pieces. So we're recording this session. I always double check as soon as I say that. I won't lie. It's something that I always do, but we are recording the session. So if you do have to leave us, A, I hope you don't have to, but B, we know life happens. Know that you can access the recording if you do happen to need to slip away. If you need some closed captions, please do utilize the CC tab for you. We also are, my goodness, good thing it's Thursday, eh? We also are recording with that on for you. So hit that tab if you do need it and utilize it to what you'd like. Next up, the certificate. So for those who are here today in the live session, I will be sending out a certificate to you by early next week. If you are accessing the recording, there will be a certificate template with you there as well. All of the resources we chat about, anything that we're talking, we're going to be sending out the show notes to you by early next week. So please just be patient. We'll be getting it out to you there. And I hope this doesn't happen, but if you're having any issues or connections with Zoom, please do seek support.zoom.us. They just know their product the best, folks. They'll be able to help you out. I do have husband IT for a reason who helped me minutes before this even happened here today. So please make sure you are checking out with the right people. If you've never heard of us before, also welcome to the Philippines. If you've never heard of us before, please do take some time to learn a little bit more about us. I'll get Kaya to pop in a link in the chat here. We are the all-in-one childcare app. If you're an educator, you can definitely look at how we can help you within the classroom, from activity lessons to just making sure to share information with mom and dad, daily reports, things like that. We're here to help out with assessments as well. If you're a director here with us today, there's tons of things that we can help you in the front office there. We know life is quite crazy on both sides of the coin, from billing to all continuing to communicate with families, which is super important, as well as attendance and going from there. So there's tons of pieces that we can help you out with. We'd love to schedule some time with you and chat how we can help you out. And no, As well, there's tons and tons of resources on our website. So from our podcasts, from of course all of our webinars, articles, our activity content, know that we're here, as well as our entire support team. So if you do decide you'd like to get on with the Hi Mama family, or you're looking for more help, whatever you may need, we have the whole support team here to help you out full circle. And they're an amazing group of people as well. And finally, if you don't know, we are a B certified company. And what that means is that we make a positive impact on the early education space as a company and as a team. And it's a very important piece of us in making sure we're making that positive social impact as we do work with all of our fantastic Hi Mama family customers. So know that we'd love to make you a part of that. And folks, without further ado, if you've never met me, I'm Ria Reeve. I am your host here at Hi Mama Helps webinar, as well as a community master on the team, early childhood educator by trade, I say. And the end of the day, I also have my colleague, my partner in crime, Kaya, here on the chat with us. Kaya, as always, couldn't do this without you. She's also, like me, been having ups and downs with the computer today, eh?
Yeah, it's not a good look right now, but I'm on the Zoom. I'm on the Zoom and on the
She made it.
Facebook. I'm on the Zoom and I'm on the Facebook, hanging out on our Facebook right now, chatting with a few educators. So I'm going to pop the link in the chat here if you want to join us on Hi Mama's Circle Time. It's a really great place to come find like-minded educators like yourselves and find some free resources. We're always giving them out. So come say hi to us.
Fantastic. Kaya's here to help folks. So questions or anything like that, please do pop them in the chat here for Kaya and she'll make sure to get things on our way. But without further ado, our special guest as well, make sure to join our Facebook group, folks. We'd love to have you. Our special guest of the day, Ron. Ron, please do join us. We've had you on a couple of times. You've been highly asked to be back. I'm so excited to have you back on and talking a little bit more about how we can, you've got your hat. Stop, I love this.
Well, you said wigs and costumes. I'm like, I'm not going to have one, so I'm going to put the best one on right now.
I love it so much. Do you want to do a couple of points about yourself for folks who are maybe new?
Sure. Ron Shuali, early childhood educator, been working in preschools for over 15 years, and my commitment is to just provide value and value and value for you.
100%. And every webinar we've had you on, you've done that exact thing. So without further ado, I know I get a little hot as well. Why don't we jump in here, Ron? And I'll let you take it away from here. I'm here. Let's have a good conversation. But I'll let you jump on, take it all here.
Woohoo! Okay, so my world is about win-win. For most people, when you hear someone has to win, what do we hear in our mind? Someone has to win, someone has to lose, right? So I am committed to helping create a win-win environment in early childhood. Win-win for me means doing the opposite of, let's say, win. Okay, I'll give you an example. Win-lose. Win-lose is a child comes up to you with a concern, a need, has a question, and our immediate response to the child is, you get what you get and you don't get upset. And then that kid looks at you like, okay, how does that work? How does that help me at all? And it's just the teacher, has this dopamine release and they feel right about it, but there's no communication, there's no benefit. On the other end of it, win-lose for a child is a child comes up to you and goes, I don't love you. And the teacher goes, ah, oh my God, you don't love me. Ah, and the child goes, ooh, I'm going to tell my second grade brother that really worked. In reality, the child wins because now he knows how to push the teacher's button, and the teacher loses because she responds in a way that doesn't communicate. So I'm going to show you a quick video that I absolutely love about win-lose. Okay, win-win, excuse me. Sorry. All right, so making sure this is good. We're all set. Okie dokie, artichoke. So this is a video, and this video is about a basketball team. So I want you to just watch 3 kids, okay? So we have number 10 over here, who is programmed, just like a lot of us are, to win. So how do you win a basketball game? You beat the other team. How do you win a basketball game? You get the basket into the hoop. So watch number 10, his programming 100%, nothing wrong with it, nothing right about it. By the way, I don't live in the world of right and wrong because that doesn't benefit me. I chose a long time ago to stop being right so I can be happy. If you want to think about that. So watch this kid, number 10, and his focus is on winning, which is totally great. Now, Watch number 50 and watch number 0. Number 10 is still, if you keep an eye on him, going to be focused on win, lose, and getting the ball in the basket. Number 50 is going to be focused on helping this kid. Now, you see these words up here, special needs. I don't buy into that world. This kid has superpowers. This kid has gifts. There are kids out there with neurodiversity that key people told them they have this disorder and that disorder, and then now they're 20, 30 years old, and they're doing amazing things because their brains process quicker, faster, sharper than a lot of other kids, all right? So watch number 50 over here with number 10.
Come on, Austin!
Now watch what he's doing and watch number 10. Number 10 sees what number 50 is doing, doesn't matter, still stuck in his program, nothing right, nothing wrong about it. His job is to get the ball into the hoop. Number 50's job is what he's doing, not his job. But when number 50, what he's doing is focusing on making a difference and having a win-win environment for number 0. Now, what would have made a bigger impact? What would have made a bigger impact? The 2 points that kid would have gotten, or what actually happened right there and the response from the crowd. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over a bunch of different techniques and tools that are going to benefit you so that you can win-win. I started in early childhood in 2006. I have met directors from and worked in schools with my Yogarati program, teaching Montessori schools. I've been in Reggio schools. I've been in Head Starts. I've been in family child care. I've been in center-based. And what I've seen is challenges that a lot of these directors have where they don't get to really focus on their jobs because they have other things happening. So this is all about us creating a win-win environment. And by the way, you don't have to create a win-win environment. You get to. If one day a staff member comes in and then you're having a bad day and you have a response that might be a little heightened or a little negative towards them, it doesn't benefit you to get mad at yourself. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. You just chose at that point, realizing it or not, to make it win-lose. And it's okay, because now you get to be aware of that pattern so that next time when the person comes in with a certain concern or a parent comes in telling you what to do, because we all know that parents know how to raise their kids a lot better than early childhood educators. I used to be from New Jersey. That's called sarcasm, just to make sure. So what I want you to do is just have fun. Any way that you are, it works. If you just came from a classroom and there was a screaming child or a screaming parent, great. Any way that you are works. If you're sad right now, great. If you're mad, great. If you're happy, great. You're allowed to be any way that you want. And I hope that if you're allowed to be any way that you want, then when you're working with the teachers who might be frustrated, might be upset, when you're working with a parent who might be nervous, might be this, when you're working with a child who might be throwing a fit on the ground because they don't know how to communicate what they really want, just get it's okay. Because we've been taught, certain people have been taught that emotions are to be pressed down and suppressed. Growing up as a guy, I'm an Israeli. My family's all military. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to be sad. If you cry in front of somebody else, then you're talked down to. My sister's 7 years younger than me. You can cry all you want, but if you get mad or you get upset, then that's being hysterical, and that's not allowed. Now we're realizing emotions, what's an emotion? It's an energy and emotion. Emotions are there to help us, and we've been taught, I don't know, especially in this country, we've been taught to push those emotion downs and to numb us with alcohol, with different things like that. And what I'm discovering, especially with a lot of work with inner child work, is that we need to let these emotions come up. We need to scream them out into a pillow. We need to cry them out. We need to run. And then all of a sudden these emotions go through our body. It comes up and everything is wonderful. And we don't have that stuck energy inside us. So let's talk about certain phrases or words to achieve a successful solution. So if I say to you right now, I say to you, I understand where you're coming from, however, or if I say to you, I see what you're saying, but, what are the next words out of my mouth going to make you feel? Are you going to feel supported, or am I going to tell you the opposite of what you wanted? I see what you're saying. However, I get what you're saying, but so what happens is the human wall automatically pops up, and then you disconnect from that human being that you trusted with your kids for 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So consider whenever you notice a shift in the person across from you when they're having a conversation, if you say, I get where you're coming from, and this is not the policy of our school. I see what you're saying. And as soon as the state or as soon as the county changes their rules, then we can continue this conversation. So what happens is when you use the word and, then all of a sudden that upset and that oppositional wall doesn't pop up. Another phrase that I love teaching directors and teachers is as soon as. Everybody say as soon as. Nice, because sometimes there's parents that come in and they want an answer and the teachers don't know the answer. The directors don't know the answer. So if I was working out in, I keynoted a conference in Texas, and then I did a director's training. And the director said, I had a parent come up to me and say, okay, listen, if my child is disobedient, can you take him into the bathroom and give him a little whooping? And the director's like, absolutely, I can't do that. The parent goes, oh, well, it's okay. I'll fill out a paper. I'll sign off on that, not understanding about child abuse, corporal punishment. And it's not the parent's fault, because people that used to get whooped come from people that used to get whooped. Abusers, you come from abusers. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing right about it, but just being present to it. So I told the director, well, every single time you say to the parent, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, then the parent thinks, well, you're the one shutting them down. And then the connection of energy and the communication goes right out the window. But what if you said to the parent, I understand where you're coming from. And as soon as the state changes its policies on corporal punishment, we can revisit this conversation. Now, all of a sudden, you're not the one telling them no, you're explaining to them the policies that other people have. So just consider that, saying the word and in place of however and but, and saying as soon as helps you. And if you need more coaching on this, feel free to reach out to me after, and I'd love to share with you. All right, awesome. I'm going to talk a little quickly because we got a lot of stuff to work on. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on 2 techniques to increase energy. And Ria, are you going to be going through the PowerPoint, or is that my thing? I don't know.
I can definitely. You want me to move forward for you?
There you go. Move. Let's go to the first slide. Let's go to the videotape. Cool. So that's where we're going to go. Captain the ship. Awesome. Tremendous. So we talked about win-win or win-lose. So some of the ways that we can make decisions is from our brain. And what's interesting is a lot of us are taught that our brain is the only way that we can make decisions. Now, when I was 19 years old, I went to go study Kung Fu, and I had a very, very powerful, very deep-centered, energetic teacher. And one time what happened was he told me, and I'm a big 320-pound pro wrestler at the time. And what he told, he's a short guy. He's maybe about like 5'7", 5'6". And what he said is, okay, so what I want you to do is I want you just to kind of give me a little push. So I went like this, and I pushed him with my hand, and all of a sudden he went back a couple of feet, and then we're good to go. I should drop this down a little bit. So then what he did is he went like this. He went, and then he bent his knees a little bit. He said, now go ahead and push me. And as my big ego kicks in, I go like this, I take my hand, then I go to push him, and I can't move him. And I try to push him more, and then he's sitting there just smiling at me. I take 2 hands as 320 pounds trying to push over 150. I couldn't move him to the point that my feet were sliding backwards. And I go, okay, go ahead, Sifu, and tell me what happened. He's like, well, the first time I had my mind in my brain. I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. Our mind's always in our brain. But is it really? When we dream, where does our mind go? Okay, when we think about things, he said, the next time I put my mind in my feet. And I went, oh, pretending that I knew anything what he was talking about. And I didn't. But what started making sense is that the mind can go wherever we want. Everybody right now, think about your pinky toe on your right foot. Got it. Think about your right thumb. Got it. Think about your left ear. So notice whenever your mind goes to these different places. So consider if your mind can move around your body, your mind can also go other places. There's a Dr. Andrew Armour in 1991 in Montreal, I believe. You can look it up, Armour, Armour. He actually discovered the heart has its own intrinsic intelligence system. The heart sends more information from the heart to the brain than the brain does to the heart. So you actually can think with your heart. So what you can do, oh, there's my buddy Scruffy. So it just Amazon probably. So what you can do is that you can think with your heart. Can you open the door for him, honey? Thank you so much. So what you can do is you can think with your heart in addition to thinking with your mind. With your brain and your mind. Ever have like a distraction and all of a sudden like my mind just goes right there because my dog's barking and someone's dropping mail off. So what's it called? So what happens is you think with your brain, with your mind and your brain to make a decision. Like all of a sudden a kid comes up to you and the child says to you, I don't love you. Now, if you're a teacher, potentially might have had some trauma, somebody in your life maybe didn't, love you or didn't express love to you, or you don't know that you maybe even consider that you're not lovable, which is actually something I experienced amazingly at a retreat 2 weeks ago, where I connected with my inner child and I connected with my inner bully, and now they're one, and peace has come over me because I also allowed things to move through my body. So when you move your mind, if the child looks at you and says, I don't love you, a teacher with their brain, the brain kicks in. Oh, this kid, how could you say that? You're being disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. And all the old inner trauma comes up. But if you, for a second, drop into your heart, and the way you drop into your heart is by taking a breath and pausing. It's called the pattern interrupt. If any of you have seen my behavior mastery workshop webinar that I did a couple of months ago, the first part of my behavior system is a pattern interrupt where I teach you go, woof, meow, hello everybody, whatever it is to get all the kids' attention. If you haven't seen it, go back into Hi Mama's archives and you can totally get it. So what happens is all of a sudden, if you maybe take a cold breath is when you take your tongue and you put it behind the back of your bottom teeth. Everyone try that. Take your tongue, put it behind the back of your bottom teeth like this. Okay, and I did this in my Yogarati webinar that I did for Hi Mama a couple months ago. And you take a big breath with your tongue behind the back of your bottom teeth like this. And then breathe out. And then same thing, tongue behind the back of your bottom teeth, breathe in and breathe out. So notice that cooling sensation go over your mouth and it tricks your body to calming down. So all of a sudden this child goes, I don't love you. And you feel yourself and this thing coming up and your brain starts going, and you want to make this reaction. If you can go and just have your mind go into your heart and then ask your heart goes, they're just pushing your buttons. You know they love you. You're like the champion. You're like a queen and a king to that child. You know they care about you. Then the teacher can go, and instead of having that reaction and making it win-lose, the teacher can make a choice, or the director can make a choice and go win-win and go, oh, may not love me, but I love you so much. What do you want to work on today? What center do you want to go to? And the kid's like in their head, like, all right, I'm going to tell my second grade brother that didn't work because maybe they're just trying to push your buttons to get attention. The key is to be able to see and feel when your body changes. And listen, if one time a child says something to you and you have a response or reaction, win-win is not getting upset at yourself. Win-win is not going, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have said that. Win-win is going, okay, next time this opportunity comes up, maybe I might consider dropping into my heart, and then all of a sudden things might change, if that makes sense, okay? So that might be something that you can do. Notice when you're upset and then drop into your heart, make a decision. You can also drop into your gut. You can drop into your gut and your gut goes, oh, this kid loves to push your buttons. He's one of your alpha kids. If you respond to them, then it's not going to be beneficial. Maybe give them the power look, top of the forehead, sing a song to yourself. Your face goes emotionally blank. The child sees no emotional response. Like if you go, and then you go, let's go do something today. And then all of a sudden the child responds to you differently. Another way to create a win-win environment, being right. How many of you like to be wrong? Raise your hand. How many of you like to be right? Raise your hand. right? All of a sudden it's like, oh, I love to be right. I didn't even say about what. It didn't make a difference. We as human beings are taught that being right means something. And you know what the real reason that we love to be right scientifically in reality? When we feel like we're right, our brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, and serotonin, four chemicals from our brain, fill our whole entire body with these feel-good feelings. I'll give you a perfect example. Ready? 2 plus 2. Who said 4? Good job, high five. Yay! Notice all that. You're feeling good. You feel this. Now, did your brain just kick in and go, that's an easy answer. I don't know why I'm so happy. And then you take away your own joy. Interesting how that happens sometimes. All right. Another way to have a win-win environment is belly breathing and buddy breathing. Okay. So how many of you have ever like talked to one of your kids and one of the kids is having, they're upset and you're like, calm down, take a breath, relax. There's a tour coming. And like you're towering over the child while this kid's like that. And that's not win-win. That's that's win-lose. I mean, imagine if you are having an argument with your significant other and they go, honey, relax. You, of course, go, oh, thank you, sweetheart. That'll definitely help our conversation. As opposed to, or what if they say to you, okay, take a breath, you'll feel better. How many times have you been told to take a breath and you went, as opposed to, I'll show you to take a breath, right? So we don't like to be told what to do. So consider that when you're doing something called buddy breathing, what you're doing is when a child is having a fit, when a child is having a full expression, when they're crying, whatever, if it's real, if it's fake, whatever it is, the child is trying to communicate something to us, especially the younger that they are, and we don't really know what's happening. But sometimes it's just to get attention, which I totally get. I spent many times crying to get attention, believe me, as an adult as well, especially when I get pulled over. So what happens is I have one of my alpha boys or my alpha girls, and if you don't really know much about my alpha boy, alpha girl policy or process, check out the behavior mastery training that I did for Hi Mama, and it talks about the normal kids and then the neurodiverse alphas that already kind of run your classrooms, the king and queens of your classroom. And what I do is I tell the alpha boy or the alpha girl, oh, someone needs a buddy breather or someone needs a breathing buddy. And then I have the child go over to, and I'm out of it. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm going to go teach these kids, and I'm kind of, keeping an eye out. And then the alpha goes over to the other child, and the child's going, you got the snot bubble going, you got the saliva, this cry, whether they're doing real crying or fake crying, which they don't realize that there's tears supposed to be coming out. So then the alpha goes over, puts his hand on the child's shoulder, and goes like this, and goes, I'm going to breathe with you. And what they do is they have their hand out all the way to make sure there's enough space between, because you don't want to cramp up on a kid. So the child puts his hand on the shoulders and goes, I'm going to breathe with you. And then the breathing body's going, and then the child that's in the state of distress is going, and then you might see, and then all of a sudden 5 or 6 breaths happen. The kid's like, oh, cool. Boom, fist bump, we out. Dun, dun, dun. And then that's it. It's a beautiful way to have kids support each other and while also teaching them self-regulation techniques, okay? So another one is belly breathing, which we went over in the Yogarati one, and that's all about just putting your hands on your belly and big belly breath in, so you push your stomach out with your stomach muscles, and you do have them. They just may be hidden under a nice protective layer like mine is, and you breathe in, and you stick your belly out and you breathe out, and you use your stomach muscles to pull your belly in, kind of like, when you go onto the beach for the first time after you bailed on your exercising the 3rd week in January. Is that just me? No. Okay. Anyway. All right. So let's go on to the next slide, if you will, please. Or can I hit enter? Okay. All right, let's go on to the next slide. And what kind of sound does a chicken make? What kind of sound does a motorcycle make? What kind of sound does a chicken on a motorcycle make? Ah, okay, good. What kind of sound does an elephant make? What kind of sound does a helicopter make? What kind of sound does a chicken on a helicopter make? So that's what's called the do now. So because I'm waiting for the slide to happen next, what I'm doing is I need to keep you engaged. I never leave my classroom with an open environment of you sit there for 5 seconds and do what you want to do. What I do is I keep the kids mentally engaged in their mind. So, what kind of sound does a chicken make? All the kids are going to go, buck, 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 buck. And then I say, what kind of sound does a helicopter make? And then the kids will go like that. Now, the alpha kids, This is for them to engage them because they might get bored. Then I'll go, well, what kind of sound does a chicken on a helicopter make? And then all of a sudden the kids will go, and then the alpha's like, oh, just like that. And then 20 years from now, they're doing voiceovers on a cartoon making six figures. Okay, tremendous. Okay, cool. So whenever you move on to the next slide, great. And I don't create expectations for it to happen. So I'm going to go over my notes over here because I always have a backup to a backup to a backup. Okay, cool. So how many of you have situations where you tour people in your center, in your home, in your school, right? So people are coming in as a prospect to you. So learning styles, when we learn about learning styles, some kids are auditory learners, some kids are visual learners, some kids are kinesthetic learners. Same thing with parents. So when a parent comes into you, first thing that I coach directors on asking is, there you go, awesome. Okay, so first thing I coach directors on asking is a question to learn the learning style of the parent. So if you have somebody come in and you go to the parent, do you want to take a look at the classroom and see what's going on? Or do you want to get a feel for the school and really get like a grasp of the situation? So notice I use two sight words and then I use two kinesthetic words. So if the parent goes, whoa, I want to take a look at the class and see what's going on, then those parents right there, what you do is you have them come into the class, you have them look at some books, you have them look at this and look at that, and then they process like that. If you have a parent go, well, I want to get a feel for the school, then you have them put their hands in the sand table. You have them sit down, crisscross applesauce with your kids if you can. You have them feel all the manipulatives in the classroom so they're engaged, so that when you come back, you're consistently talking with them. Also, what I do is I teach people how to do tests to see if the parent's on board. Now, a lot of people understand basic psychology. If someone is leaning forward and they're interested, if someone's sitting back and they're like this or they have their arms crossed, then they're not interested or something's happening. What I do is I have people try to do things to see if the person's connecting with you on your learning style. When you're flowing back and forth, I'll have people just do something like this or do something like that as you're talking. And then all of a sudden, or I'll have them put their hands like this. If the person across from you does something the opposite, they lean back, they're not buying what you're selling. If the person starts going like this or starts doing the same behavior, they're on board with you. If you want to learn more about that, look up neurolinguistic programming. There's amazing tools on how to do sales. All right, what else? So next thing we're going to go, because we got 20 minutes and a lot more stuff to do. Okay, so next thing we're gonna go is I'm just gonna give you two tools for my 5-part behavior mastery system. And then if you, this is for the 95% of the kids that you tell them what to do, they're just gonna do it. So basically, and then if you wanna learn the other 3, share it with your staff, absolutely, because I have this crazy idea. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. So I have this, oh, I forgot about that one. Thank you. So I have this crazy idea that I would love to have behavior systems at school be the same at home, so that there's no more confusion for the kids what the rules are, because they get confused what happens at school, what happens at home. And teachers, directors, we all know that those parents definitely are so structured and they understand the rules and they have 20 years of early childhood experience. That's a sarcasm from Jersey that I brought over. Okay, so first thing we do is called the pattern interrupt. Like I said, go on Hi Mama's past webinars, find behavior mastery. It's got all 5. A pattern interrupt, I talked about it a little before. Anything to get the kids' attention. I don't do the Joey, 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 Joey. That's like doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. It's insanity. And then you say to the kids, oh, he's not listening. Meanwhile, they're always listening. Why do we say to kids, you're not being a good listener? The kid's like, you just said, and I quote from my brain stenographer, you said you're not being a good listener. Do you have your listening ears on? You just said, do you have your listening ears on? Why do you keep saying that? I hear everything. I even hear you in the corner of the classroom when the camera can't see you while you're texting your friends when you're not supposed to. Whatever. So what I offer you is that they're always listening. They're just choosing not to follow your directions because there's some reason it doesn't benefit them. So when you figure out how to get the kids to change their behaviors so it benefits them, then you'll see miracles, and that's what the behavior mastery program is about. So a pattern interrupt could be anything from an animal noise, oh, All the kids are going to look at you. I changed my voice. I changed my accent. I don't know if it's Irish or if I do Scottish or if I do like a New York type thing or hello everybody. I do like an old school Monty Python spam, 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 spam. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. And then the next thing I do is I have their attention immediately for 1 to 2 seconds. And I do the next thing, which is called the pre-frame. And the pre-frame is the same thing. We don't like to be told what to do. So if I tell you right now, and I can't even see people, if I say right now, you're not allowed to put your hands up in the air. What are you thinking of doing? How many of you put your hands up in the air just because I said you can't? Ready? Now watch what happens internally in your body. You can put your hands up in the air if you want. What do you immediately not care about anymore? How crazy is that, right? These are just systems and designs. We run 85, 90% of our day subconsciously in automatic programs, which is insane, but that's how we run. So what I offer you is a pre-frame. First pre-frame that I do is I like the way. So how many of you have ever gone, I like the way that you're sitting crisscross. I like the way that you're sitting crisscross. And all of a sudden, even nobody's sitting crisscross. All the kids are like crisscross or drawn like, and they sit crisscross applesauce. Have you ever seen that? But here's what's interesting. Ready? Watch this. I like the way that you're sitting up straight. I like the way you're sitting up straight. I like the way you're sitting up straight. I love the way you're sitting up straight. So what did I want you to do? Sit up straight. How many of you knew I wanted you to sit up straight, caught yourself about to sit up straight, and then made a powerful choice? I'm not sitting up straight. Yeah, well, now you know why your children are spiteful. Because you are, because that's human behavior. We love to be spiteful. It's so funny, just a basic, if you just get that your inner child is teaching these kids and your inner child has the same responses as an adult, you get what you get, you don't get upset. But if you went out to dinner and then you ordered your favorite meal and somebody brings you something the exact opposite and you say, excuse me, this isn't what I order, and the waiter goes to you, you get what you get and you don't get upset and walks away, you lose your mind. So just notice some of the things that we say to kids that has a win-lose environment as opposed to a win-win environment. So a second pre-frame I use is auditory pre-frame. Ready? Is my favorite color green or is my favorite color blue? Which one? Good job if you said blue. Awesome. But notice I changed my voice. I changed my tone. Do I want you washing your hands right now, or do I want you sitting crisscross on the rug? I know what the funny part is, when they're going to whisper back to you. Why is it when you're on the phone and somebody whispers to you, why do you whisper back when they're whispering? It's so interesting. Also notice that when you whisper, people start to lean in because they want to hear what you're saying. Okay, cool. So those are the auditory pre-frames, and then I use visual pre-frames. Visual pre-frame I do. Let me ask you a question: is my favorite TV show right now Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or is my favorite TV show America's Got Talent? Which one? Yeah, AGT, America's Got Talent. That's my favorite show because I see all these people and all these kids go up and create their joy and their passion and follow their visions for their life. One of the videos that I show in some of my other trainings, look up, if you go to my YouTube channel, Ron Shuali's youtube.com, there's a playlist called Staff Training, and I have from South Africa's Got Talent, DJ Fresh, at 3 years old, youngest Got Talent winner on the planet, and there's 50 of these shows. And he's a DJ. Absolutely. And the crazy part is too, is like there's DJs out there that make tremendous amount of money and tremendous amount of impact. If you want to actually connect with your kids on a win-win, look up something called Masterclass. Masterclass is taught by professionals in that world that I did. There's what's it called? Deadmau5 is a DJ, one of the biggest ones on the planet, Emmy winning the whole thing. And he actually teaches you how to do it. So if you have passions in your life and visions for your life, or you have kids in your life that have passions and vision for their lives, instead of potentially this is like my parenting, here's my parenting workshop, ready, set, go. This is what you say to your kids. 2 things: I love you, how can I support you? I love you, show me what you want me to see, instead of making up stories about this and that. Okay, my parents told me, oh, you can't make money playing video games. When I was growing up, I loved playing video games. I had the Atari 2600 and the Pong, the first one. And now there's a website called Twitch, and there's people that aren't even playing the video games. They're in the corner of the screen talking about the people playing the video games. They have 50,000 or 1 million subscribers, and they get $50,000 a month. Thanks, Mom. You owe me a check. I'm just teasing. I love my mom. Okay, so pre-frames, just to go over. I like the way. Do I want you running or do I want you sitting crisscross applesauce? And then everybody knows what to do. The alpha isn't going to come up to you and go, when you go, do I want you running or do I want you sitting crisscross applesauce? The alpha isn't going to go, you want me running. And in their mind, they go, now make the face. So that's all in the behavior mastery program. Okay. Another one, projection. Projection conversation is powerful because when you ask your kids, what's going on? Why are you upset? What's happening? When you ask your teacher, what's going on? Nothing, this and that. How does that create win-win if you don't know what's going on in that person's mind? So what we do is we have a conversation called the projection conversation where we project what's happening onto someone else. So if you're having a conversation with the teacher, and the teacher's consistently late, and you say, why are you late? I don't know. You can tell them, maybe wake up 15 minutes early, maybe do this, do that. It doesn't make a difference. But because you're asking them questions, and all of a sudden their defensive oppositional walls coming up, just like when you say to someone, I understand where you're coming from, but if you keep on coming in, you're going to get fired. That's not going to make a difference. That's not going to help. And then they're going to take that upset and they're walking right into a classroom and shifting that energy. Okay, so consider having a conversation with the teacher where you're saying, okay, well, listen, I used to teach, there used to be a teacher that used to work here a long time ago before she moved on. Lie. It's called lying. People do it. We white lie to the kids. Just lie. It's okay. All right. And so what you do is you have a conversation with the teacher and you say, listen, I know another teacher that used to work for me. And she actually kind of looks like you. She had the same hair and, the same kind of shoes that you wear. So now all of a sudden, the teacher is imagining herself. When you do this with the child and you ask a child, what's going on? Why are you running out of your classroom? You go, oh, I know another little boy in a different school. His name was Max. I always use Max for a boy and Jennifer for a girl because I got caught in a lie one time with the kid. Kid never trusted me again. I don't blame him. He caught me in a lie. So I go to the teacher. It's like, okay, so now I know another teacher in a different school, and what was happening was, or I knew a teacher that used to work here, and she had the same kind of challenge, and we had a conversation, and I'm kind of was wondering what was going on for her. Why do you think that teacher was late? And all of a sudden the teacher's like, well, maybe her husband's not helping her at home. Maybe she's got 3 kids, and all of a sudden, blah, everything starts coming out. You have a conversation with the child. How come you're not going into your room? And you say, I don't know. But if you say, well, I know another little boy in a different school, and he has the same light up Spider-Man shoes as you, and he doesn't want to go into his room, and I want to help him. What could it possibly be? That kid might go, well, maybe there's a kid in his classroom and he doesn't like it, and he pushed him when the teacher wasn't, and all of a sudden, blah, and everything comes out, if that makes sense. All right. And I'm glad this is being recorded because I know I'm talking fast, but I have a lot of content to give. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's see what I want to talk about because I'm going to talk about a lot of things. Okay, touring a prospective parent. So we talked about that. Understanding the learning styles of the parent to make a difference. And just throwing this out there, ready? Always get a deposit, even if it's $50. Even if your tuition is $2,000, always get a deposit. Because if they just put a deposit down for $50, that parent's going to have that in the back of their mind. And then it's going to help them make a decision. Because if they go to 3 other schools and then their $50 is sitting there, you'd be surprised. Because 80% of the people that walk into a school, if they don't enroll right there, then they're not going to come back. If you have a waiting list for a year, then you're good to go. You can also say things like, well, let's have you tour the school to see if you're, deposit for, deposit for, I saw the code at the bottom of the chat, deposit when they come in, when they're about to leave, if you want to hold the spot, blah, 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 this and that, if that makes sense. Okay, love languages. How many of you know what your love languages are? Okay, or how many of you have ever taken the love language quiz? Okay, volume is going in and out. Okay, I wish I can help you with that. So with the love languages, there's 5 love languages, okay? And the love languages are how you learn how to give another human being appreciation and how you can communicate to somebody else. So the love languages are physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of kindness, what are the other ones? Gifts and quality time. Okay, so there you go. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jamie. So what happens is if you're a person, let's say you're a director and you want to give a high five or something, or the teacher did a great job, they're consistently showing up on time, they're consistently communicating, then what you do is, if your love language is physical touch and you love high fives and pats on the back, but their love language are gifts, it's not going to go across. If your love language is words of affirmation and you say them, you did such a great job, you're so wonderful, this and that, and still their love languages are gifts, those words are just sounds, it's going to go right over their head. But if you get them a $10 Starbucks card or a $10 gift card from this and that, you hand that to them, they're going to have a physical thing in their hand, then always, 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 they're going to show appreciation. So if you're a director, I would suggest, offer to you, to have everybody at your next staff meeting take the love language quiz and then talk about it and share about it. So that way you know how to acknowledge it. And also, could it hurt to actually have the parents do it? That way, when you acknowledge the parents, it could make a huge difference. Just throwing it out there, something else. Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. All right, time management. How many of you have all the time in the world and you never get bothered and you remember everything that you have to do and you don't have to write everything down? Okay, for you, you don't have to listen, just go blah, 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 okay, until I wave to you. For everybody else, I'm going to give you two amazing techniques. One of these was given to me by my dad. My dad he's a computer system specialist with a lot of things going on, and his brain is going and going and going just like mine. So imagine that it's 9:30 in the morning, you're the director, and now you're doing payroll, you're having a conversation with the teacher, you're doing a nebulizer for a child, whatever it is. Now all of a sudden you're working something, you're laying out lesson plans, curriculum, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden a phone rings. Okay, you don't have to answer that phone right off the bat. You don't have to answer, you can. But think about it too, when you call a business, if they pick up the phone immediately, what story do you make up, as opposed to, okay, we're a little busy with things, we'll pick it up on the third time, okay? So while you have a piece of paper next to you the entire time, okay? Or you open up a Word document or whatever that you do, and this stack sheet stays blank. I have a Word document, it's called stack sheet, and that's it. Now all of a sudden the phone rings. So instead of trying to remember what I'm going to talk about or what I'm doing beforehand, I just go, Susie's payroll. Okay, cool. So now I know where I'm at. I pick up the phone. Hey, blah, blah, blah. How's everything going? Everything's wonderful. Would you like to come in for a tour? This and that also. And then you hang up the phone. If it's something that you now have to go deal with, let's say a kid needs an EpiPen or something that, whatever it is. If it's something you have to deal with, at least you now have on your stack sheet what you were just doing. Okay, if not, and you don't have to handle everything right off the bat. If you have a teacher that comes in and you're having a conversation, write down Joey's medication, write down Billy's leaving at 2 p.m., write down check grandma's idea. And by the time that you're done with your day, you're gonna have a list of 10 different things that you get to finish on another day. You don't have to ever worry about thinking about remembering stuff, because sometimes you're gonna hang up the phone, deal with something. Sometimes it's gonna be different. Sometimes you're gonna have a teacher that comes into your office because she wants to talk to you about something in her personal life, and you're just like, it's 1 to 12 ratio. Where are your kids? Oh, yeah. So now think about this. How many times as a director, as a supervisor, have you had somebody from your staff come over to you and they want to take up some of your time? They want 5 minutes of this, 10 minutes of that. You're a manager. So dealing with their internal things going on is part of your job. If they're thinking about their mom, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their kids, their other job, this and that, challenges, college, they're not going to be present with the kids. But it throws you off when you're dealing with certain things to have a person just come into the classroom. Now you got to get a floater to go in to make sure you're in ratio. So this is my recommendation. By the way, all this stuff that I've said, I'm not preaching. I'm just saying words, sounds are coming out of my bodies. Your brain is interpreting these sounds. If these sounds and these words make sense and they provide value, awesome. If they don't, then just choose not to do it. It's all good. So now scheduling your staff times. So what I offer is, listen, From 12:15 to 12:45, you have a little sign-up sheet on your door. 12:15 to 12:30, you put a name down. 12:30 to 12:45, they can put a name down. Then maybe you do it the later part of nap time. So maybe like 2 o'clock to 2:15 is another slot. 2:15 to 2:30 is another slot, okay? So now you have 4 specific times. And here's the kicker, ready? Before they walk into your office for their designated time, they punch out. Now they're not getting paid for it. I can't even tell you how many directors have done this. 3/4 of the problems have disappeared. Now they're not getting paid for it. And if they are and they punch out, but you still get to talk to them about it, 100% keep on doing it. That's just a suggestion. Okay, cool. Let's go. What's next? Parent spotlight.
That's it, Ron. Did you want anything you follow up from all that before I jump in for a minute?
Let me see. Breathing techniques, how to eliminate certain phrases and words, how to create a win-win school culture, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm done. I talk fast. Questions, let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it. I'll give you a sec here. Have a sip of water. Everything you're talking about today, I wanted to tie back because it's so important to understand what's going on with your educators in your class and like what's happening with them. Especially, I love the idea of the love languages. I haven't done that one myself personally. I've done the Enneagram one, but I haven't done the love language. And just getting to know, I find too as well, it would get to know your staff a little bit more. It allows you to potentially even pair them up for like a better working situation if you've got two, 3 staff in a room, whatever's happening. But knowing that communication will happen, the communication with your parents will just so increase in so many different ways. And just these were a couple of great points from here at Hi Mama that and we've seen come through as well. I wanted to just go ahead here. We're gonna host
I got one more thing that just popped into my head. Okay.
Yeah.
Think about this as a director. Ready? When you're calling a parent, what are the words the parent right off the bat says? What's wrong? What's wrong? How often do you have time in your day where you call the parents to go, hey, Miss Jones, nothing's wrong. You start off, nothing's wrong. The teacher just wanted to let you know that Joey's having a fabulous day and he did this and that and he misses you. And the parent's like, oh, so that way they're listening is whenever the school calls, it's not automatically what's wrong. Just that just popped into my head. Okay, I'll be bubbling my mouth.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so let's start out here with one of our first chats. What about a child? You've talked about so many different techniques and any recommendations with a child who maybe just is not responding to any of these techniques. Just any maybe words around it. Maybe this question specifically, they're pretending to, really work with you, but they're really not, participating. They're not really going about it any way we could go about getting around some of these things.
So what it sounds like is a child that may be bored, a child that may just not be interested in what's happening. I tell people I get that we're given certain curriculums from the directors and from the bosses and the higher ups and this and that, but if something's not working, stop doing it. If circle time is boring the heck out of your kids for 15 minutes, make circle time as, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to, yeah, good. It's sunny outside. We just eliminated 7 minutes, what I would do is because I gave you tools. And if you haven't watched any of my other stuff, I would recommend this. Watch the behavior mastery program because part 3, 4, and 5 is about the alpha boys and the alpha girls, the ones with, opposition defiance or ADD, or all these other names that people have put on these kids. They're not disorders. There's no kid that, I don't think there's a kid that, walks in the classroom and they're like, he's not focused. I think the kid has walked in, processed all the information so far and knows everything. Because if you ask them 5 questions, they'll be able to tell you everything about the classroom. And we're just too slow to give the opportunity to give the kid more information. With kids like that, I make them helpers. How many people have you give a kid an opportunity? It's like, okay, so we're going to do some cutting. Okay. And we're going to give you 10 minutes with the scissors to cut something. And the kids are like, and this alpha goes, oh, I saw my mom do when she's making gifts. and does that one. And then you're like, okay, we'll sit there for 9 minutes and wait. That doesn't work. Go and help the other kids out. Go make a difference for them. Finding out what those kids want to do is beautiful, because I mean, growing up in high school, growing up in middle school, I was never asked what I wanted, what I was passionate about. I was just told what I had to learn, because I was stuck in education, which is giving kids information and downloading it, as opposed to reducing, which is pulling it out of there. So talking to the kid, and also too, if there's specific things about kids, I have so much free time. I absolutely love it. Reach out to me, email me. I will gladly, as I'm taking a walk with my dog, have a 20, 30-minute free conversation with you, that you try some of the stuff with the kids, you go back and forth, and we do it, because your alpha kid, if you flip the switch and understand how to really work with them, 20 years later, if that kid is Elon Musk. So to say help the planet create a win-win, I would gladly spend as much time as possible. But just letting you know, and just caught myself. And just letting you know, my first question is going to be, what techniques from my programs have you done? Because a lot of people, sometimes they don't even try any of the techniques, and they ask me what to do. And I go, okay, so do you want me to do the whole training for you again? I'll gladly come to your center and do it. But if you want, watch the videos, watch my content on my YouTube channel, and then we can actually go, what steps have you done? And then let's work from there.
That sounds great, Ron. As well, folks, I have a poll up, so please do take a moment to go ahead and answer that. But Ron, while they're doing that, I'll go on to the next question here for you.
Please.
What about a child who's very timid, very, very shy, very obviously they're introverted, speaks in a very soft, quiet voice? Any recommendations for that?
Is it bad that they speak in a soft voice? I mean, my thing is what we talked about in the behavior mastery, expectations. When we say the word should, we create an expectation on how someone else is supposed to be, not based on reality, but our mind. So if our brain goes into, well, he should talk louder because we feel like they should talk louder. Try if you say Billy should speak louder, maybe instead of doing that and being so right and certain about it, maybe take out the word should and put the word could in there and go, Billy could talk louder. Now, all of a sudden, it's not an expectation, it's an option. And then maybe have a conversation with the child, do that projection conversation. There's another child in a different classroom. I work at a different school, and he's very quiet. And sometimes I think he wants to talk louder. If this kid doesn't want to talk louder because he's the strong silent type, that's awesome. How many people express themselves? There are times I'm actually soft and quiet when I'm not. This is performing mode. Other times I'm not performing. So just look at, is the expectation of what you're putting on the child something that you're creating? And again, reach out to me and let's figure it out.
That sounds great. Ron, any last words of advice, pieces of wisdom? It's always such a pleasure having you on.
First of all, I love you guys. I appreciate you for sharing my information and let me speak to the whole entire planet. My commitment in this country, in the United States, is to shift the entire way that the early childhood world is looked at. We're not babysitters. We're not this and that. I mean, I believe everybody in early childhood knows this is the most important developmental age, and I have a whole 10-year goal to actually shift it, where all the IF funds are coming into early childhood, and then we start making high school optional, especially for the alphas. So I would just say is listen to your heart. Great song by Roxette. Listen to your heart when you're talking with your own kids at home. Drop into your heart when you're talking to the kids, and notice when your mind is in your brain and how that works for you. If your mind in your brain making those decisions is benefiting you in your life, keep doing it. If you notice that when you drop into your heart or you drop into your gut, and all of a sudden the decisions that you start making start creating more of a win-win environment, then consider doing that and seeing how life totally shifts and it becomes totally magical for you. And it's all your choice. Don't get mad at yourself if you don't do it. If you're programmed a certain way, you get to notice the patterns and then choose to deprogram yourself and stop getting mad at yourself. Any way that you are is okay.
Ron, thank you so much for being a part of today and for all of your words of wisdom. And I know the crew here has loved you on the chat. I'm going to jump up into wrap up here, but thank you once again for such an awesome session. I can say that on behalf of everyone here. It's been such a pleasure. Always enjoying having you with
awesome.
us.
I'm going to start while you're wrapping up. I'm going to try to scan the entire chat.
Here he goes, folks. I dare,
right.
like, let's see how much you can get through in 2 seconds, but I love it. I
Okay,
love it.
okay, you're welcome.
All right, folks. For us wrap up, I'd mentioned this before, but is show notes, the recording, everything will be coming out to you by early next week. So please just keep your eyes out. I will as well be getting the certificates out to you all. And next week, we're talking about loose parts. So registration should be up by tomorrow if you'd like to join us, but we will be sending in an invite for folks here too. But please do join us as we do talk about this. This has been a requested topic, and I think it's something that we can definitely see coming across the boards. I used loose parts in my classroom. It was very much a thing coming in. So I'm excited to have Carla on talking about it. If you haven't as well, please don't forget to please join our Circle Time group. You can as well follow us on Instagram or follow us on Facebook, as well as you can check out our podcast. Ron actually did a podcast with us. It was we did Ron Squared. It was fantastic. We're going to make sure to hook you up with all of that within our blog show notes page, so you'll be able to, please do, wherever you like to listen to, Spotify, wherever, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like, podcasts are there for the preschool podcast. So Miss Kaya, if I missed anything on your side, I always check, because there's best to check.
No, amazing conversation today, Ron. It's always great having you on, and all of your outfits, and of course your amazing wisdom. Where were you when I was in the childcare space? There we go. I got my hat floating around here somewhere. I was filming with it earlier. So thank you so much for joining us. It does. He's flying away.
All right, folks, been such a pleasure. Thank you everyone for your time here today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you hopefully next week. Take care, all.
Wow, I actually got done before the time. That was amazing. I'm amazed myself. Did I talk fast enough?